Great. Oh, yes, thank you. Let me also record it. Let me also record it. So I hope that my recording's also good. Okay, so before that, before we start our lesson, let me clarify, let me just talk like 5 to 10 minutes about my inclination towards the written language and some clarification with how it may seem as a perspective. So my inclination for the written language is solely because of the text. Because the thing is that in the textual language, everything is in the written language form, so that one of the main reasons why I'm trying to teach the written language here, emphasize every time written language, is so that once you have learned this from here, that your spoken language and the language that is being used in the text is aligned with each other. In other words, it will be as if when you are reading the text, it will be as if you're talking to the author, rather than deciphering a lot of things there and seeing a lot of dissimilarities between the normal usage, and then to go to the written language and see like, oh, this usage case, this means that, this means this, you know. So that's the reason why I'm trying to integrate a lot of written language. And yes, just to integrate written language and to emphasize on it and to be specifying on this type of learning takes a little more effort. But at the end, it is quite beneficial, which I can say from my own personal experience, because when you read the text later on, most of the things that you read are the things that you already speak. So it's like a normal conversation when you read the text. Definitely, many of the words need more elaboration by the usage of other text, definitely, but it becomes much easier. You don't have to transit from one language to another language. The written language and the spoken language, it doesn't become as if two type of languages. So this is the reason why I'm inclined more to the written language. And the second one comes from, like I already emphasized last time, is because of my grammatical lineage that comes from Situ Rinpoche. And he emphasizes greatly on the fact of the written language, as well as the importance of the grammatical rules. Especially, he's very eminent about the rules that pertains to the structure of the Tibetan language. The way he emphasized on things like including the non-apparent vowel, and then making an argument that if we don't have a non-apparent vowel with each of the sentence, each of the consonant, those become letter or sound without life or essence, which is not something that is in the discipline of the Sanskrit system. So therefore, he emphasizes greatly on the non-apparent vowel. So by these things, you see that he has a great inclination towards the written language. But still, like him, I would think that the spoken language is looked down upon. No. Spoken language has its own vice. It has its own benefit. One of the biggest benefit being that different spoken language came in division from the very source structure. But those divisions are based on the particular region, the way people spoke, the way people taught at that region, the way people, and those different terminologies that are being spoken in different places. For example, in more central Tibetan, term like ki for center So namge kila, namke kila is more used there, whereas in the more the eastern part of Tibet, of Kham and Namdo, the word ing, namke ingla, is used more. Then also usage of the old dialect, like in more, it's very much used in the eastern part of Tibet. For example, in Kham, we say ni, which was during the second translation revision. And after that, all of those translation cancelled out the footer language or foot join language. So ni is used. Still now in Kham, we use ni instead of me. And then some of the pronunciations are like the way it was pronounced in the old times. For example, kayata kyanaru doesn't become kyo, it becomes cho. Kayata doesn't become ki, it becomes chi. Payata doesn't become cha, it becomes sha.
This is for Kham, yeah?
Yes, it's for the Kham dialect. So we see things like for the bird, we don't say cha, we say, right? So, and then for example, we have, then some of the sound are quite similar, like chi. I becomes chi. Trashi chi. Siring ki. Right? Roma yi. These are quite similar. Yi are similar, but ki becomes chi. And this is how the old system of pronunciation was. So it was kakyuku ki, kayata kakyuku chi, ayata sha, kayata sha. And you see that there is great vice in these type of original dialect, because some of them are preserving the old sounds, like in the Kham, like in ni and cho. Instead of saying k, they say cho, kayata chanaru cho. So therefore, the colloquial system or the spoken language is eminent. It's very important. It shows us the progression of the civilization. It plays a very important role in the description of each of the region, the way people talked, like the Siddha Rinpoche described. He said that in centralized place, people tend to stretch the sound, like the stretch sound of the stretch of the sound made by the donkey. So they tend to stretch the sound, but rather soft. In Kham, it's very bold and heavy. So things like this is mentioned in those things, which tells us that the evolution of the or the division of the main language system plays a great role in defining a civilization. And being too biased towards the written language brings us to things like saying that, to me, Sambuddha system of language where the writing was the first one, that there is nothing before that. Those things come because of those biases. And some people who are not very kind towards the acceptance of the original writing system of Shangshung, because of these biases. And the thing is that my inclination is because of the text. The reason why I'm inclined is because of the text, and that's the only reason. Not because I look down on spoken language. Another reason is because for me, the written language, for me personally, has more logical system. And this is also because of my ignorance of the system of each regional dialect. Each regional dialect have its system of logic. So therefore, for me, the thing that makes sense more is the written language. So therefore, more inclined towards that. And so this becomes the second reason. But definitely each regional dialect have their own reason. But now whenever I say that this particle doesn't exist, that particle doesn't, that is in context to the original text. It doesn't mean that in that regional dialect it doesn't exist. Definitely it does. But then that becomes a very specified learning. So therefore, to establish a system of learning for ourselves, I have chosen the written language as the basis rather than the colloquial system. Definitely, most of the colloquial system that we have in teaching are based on the Central Tibetan Hausa dialect. So they have these particles that they have in the spoken language. Similarly, if you try to study the original dialect of Kham, there will be different words, different reasoning, different structure. And some of the terms will not be used there that are used in the Central Tibetan dialect. But that's more specified. So we want to stay to the core so that we can first establish a foundation to say that, okay, this is the system of grammar that I accept. This is how it works. This was how it was built or how it was structured. Okay, now I have understood this. Now I can say that I will go through with the original thing. You see? So therefore, for me to be inclined towards the written language has reasons such as this. And in no way, not at all, I could say that spoken language is not important. It is very important. And especially to those who understand the logic of each of those regional dialects, definitely it is very important to use each of those particles because they have their own reasoning. So that is a small clarification of what we're doing here. And I felt that I should talk about this a little bit because sometimes what happens is that when we talk about being inclined towards written language, some people are in the extreme of that. It's never too good to be very extreme at anything. So they're too extreme at that. And then they say things like the original dialect is entirely superior and that the spoken language should not even exist. So this is, if we say that the spoken language should not exist, it's saying like the portion of the history that is associated with that region should be denied as a part of a Tibet, which many of the historians will strongly argue against. So therefore, we stick to written language because we stick to the system of logic that is with the written language. So that is the reason why we will have the written language as the basis of our study in this particular class. We'll study, as we move on, we'll study probably most of the important texts regarding the written language. So therefore, this will be the subject of our study as we move on. So this is a small clarification. Even if I'm teaching basic conversation, the reason why I come back to things like particles, I've emphasized on particles, emphasized on structure is because I want to make sure that we are following the logics of the written language. And that is the system of grammar. But the difference between this class and the grammar class itself is the detail of those particles. In this class, we will not go through a lot of detail. We'll just say this is the particle we use like this. Okay. But in grammar class, we will thoroughly dissect every part of this. Oh, this is the particle. Okay, how it functions. What are the usage? What are the exceptions? What are the arguments? So that is the difference between the grammar class and the basic conversation class. So therefore, as we move on, we will focus on these things more, and then we will study these things on the basis of the spoken language, and then we will try to add only the particles which are only depicted in the either directly or inferentially in the text. So these particles, even though they're not in the 30, they're in the gender signs as a verb, type of verbs. So more like, instead of particle, these are more like verbs. So, okay, now welcome to the Tibetan Basic Conversation class. Today we will be doing revision on these three particles, yö, tuk, yöre. Very interesting particles. And as I read the books that you have sent me in the group, very interesting books. So, but still I'll have some of my arguments here, so please be patient with me. Okay, so first, so revising yö, because we have already talked about it. Now we're going to talk about it even more. So the first usage is the use of yö in case of showing possession or ownership. So showing that you possess something or showing that you own something. And those things are not intangible, but in this case, tangible things that you own. So when we say tangible, we mean things that we can touch, those solid things like the table. And you will see that, okay, you will see that in later slides, what I mean that I have added something. So, perna, ngala teb ya bushi yö. Right? Ngala teb ya bushi yö. I have a good book. Kongzo la me to mang bu yö. They have many flowers. So we must understand that when we say someone is possessing or owning this, we know that they own this. That in this case, we know that they own this or they have this. So definitely, if you use it for the first person, it's a narrative. For the second person, it's an observation. Or third person, it's more or less. So if it's for the first person, it's a narrative. But if it's for the second or third person, it's an observation. We're observing. And so we're confirming the observation. When we say it means that we are confirming the observation that they have a lot of flowers. Why? Because we saw them with a lot of flowers. Or we see that in front of their house, there is a big garden. Or they recently purchased a lot of flowers, be it whatever reason, but they own it, and we are confirming that they own it. So it's a word of confirmation of possession. It's a word of confirmation of possession. So one thing that yö does is to act as a word of confirmation. But here the confirmation is of possession. So when we say ngala teb ya push yö, it means that I'm confirming that I have a good book. And this becomes a narrative because I'm narrating it. I'm not observing something, I'm just narrating what I have. But in the second case, we're just confirming an observation. We have confirmed an observation. What did we observe? We observed that they had many flowers. So it's a confirmation. So the first usage is in case of showing possession or ownership or owning. tangible things. So we have so many different tangible things. Right now, there are only two that I have shown. So whenever we use a sentence that shows the ownership, the particle that shows the ownership is yue, or confirms the ownership is yue. Then we have a subject to which it belongs to, and then we have the object, which is the object that is upon which the ownership is being depicted. So let me take a new slide. So the things that we show in this is the subject, the object of the object over which we show or confirm the ownership, and finally, sorry, this becomes ownership, so it's ownership, and then finally the particle yue. So I'm going to make very simple sentence here, very simple sentences. Nga la thep yue. Kong la thep ndu. Or Kong la thep yue. Doesn't matter. In this case, both are confirmation. So we have the object here. So same sentence. So I have book. He has book. So nga being the subject, tab being the object over which we confirm the ownership, and then we have you, which confirms the ownership. La is the thing that in this case relates between the thing subject and the thing being owned. So it shows a relation between these two things. And this is something we will strongly will bring up strongly in the grammar class. And this was a case of depiction in the text by text called Mago Chunja. The Mago Chunja, a text that was composed by Mitra Gyana. So on Tibetan grammatical system, a very profound Indian scholar. So in that he argued this thing where the latter, we have some of the relation, and in which the second grammatical case can also be used as a case of showing relation between things that are owned and things that is and the person or the thing that owns it. So the phenomena as an owner and phenomena as the object that is owned. But we will go in depth about this in the grammar class. So here we see Kong la thep yue. So therefore we see the importance of using this particle, this la de here, to show the relation between the owner and the object that is being owned. And yue is the confirmation of the statement, confirmation of this relation. It confirms the relation that the subject owns this particular object. So here it is the confirmation of ownership or possession. So therefore the first usage is the confirmation of possession or owning of tangible things. So I made a differentiation. I made to distinction between tangible and intangible things just because of the noun itself. Because one is tangible, we can touch, we can feel, like it's something that's solid. And then one is intangible, something that's like an idea or a feeling that we cannot touch, or which it isn't a solid thing. So the second case, used in case of showing possessing or owning of intangible things. So here we are saying intangible things. For example, penna. She has the skills to cook. So here we are talking about skill, and skills are intangible. Yes, we're saying that someone possessed these, but the object of possession is intangible. So what's the difference in Tibetan? How do we refer to things which are intangible but possessed? So things which are tangible and being possessed, we say Yöpa or Pakpa. Or something that is mine. So these are the things that we usually associate with the concept of having things which are tangible. Now, if you remember the text that we had to memorize, the second part of, the third portion of Chibetayi, we had the word ngawa, which means to be possessed, to being possessed by the mind. Something that is possessed, but it's in the mind. It's not tangible. So ngawa usually talks about something that is in the mind, which is possessed in the mind, and thus intangible. These are intangible. Whereas the first case, we see that these are tangible, and so we use things like Yöpa, Pakpa, Dagi Impa. This is mine. This table is mine. Right? So you see that there is the difference between possession on the basis of tangibility, so things that are tangible, or intangible. To be tangible, we say Takpa, Yöpa. For intangible, we say Ngawa, Tula Ngawa, which are intangible things. So we have examples of these things here. So we see Tashila Kala Sube Zal Yö. Tashi has the skills to cook. In these things, the thing that is being possessed is intangible. And the confirmation of the possession is shown by this particle. All of the structure is the same. We have the subject, the latin, the object that is being over which we are showing the possession, and then finally the confirmation of the possession, really the possession and owner relation between the subject and the object. Now in the second case, we see he or she has the experience in drawing. So the experience in drawing is something that's intangible. It is the proficiency of drawing. So we see that the proficiency in drawing comes from for example, like years and years of training. You train, and then by training, you get these experience and proficiency. And then these experiences are intangible. You cannot understand these things to be solid. So he or she has the experience in drawing. So this experience or proficiency in drawing is possessed by him or her. So we see that the relation which is being shown by this ladder or this particle. So he possessed this experience, and the confirmation that he possessed this experience is done by this particle, yö. And it's a confirmation. So I'm repeating this word confirmation, because these words are words of confirmation, meaning that it is something that is within the knowledge of the narrator, or it's the confirmation of the observation of the narrator. So therefore, these are confirmation of possession. Intangible, yes, intangible object, but still confirmation of possession of the intangible. So the difference is takpa and ngawa. Like I have written, one is ngawa, which talks about things which are possessed, but those things are intangible. Takpa, which is more pervasive, but which seems more pervasive, but still it's more like things that are owned, which are tangible, like the table, like objects. These are all tangible, whereas in the second case, it's the intangible. Now, the third case, used to show that something exists at somewhere. So something existing at somewhere. So it shows that something exists at a position somewhere. So it confirms the existence of something at a certain place. So these are all usage of the particle yö. There are many snow mountains in Tibet. In this case, it's a confirmation. It's a confirmation that there are many mountains in Tibet. So so it confirms, in this case, it confirms that the existence of snow mountains at a position which is in Tibet. So Tibet being the position where it exists, and snow mountain being the object that is present. And you see that even here, but here, the thing is that since it shows the position, this is the usage of the seventh grammatical case, the object position relation usage case. So the things, so for example, let me just write another example here. So there are students in the school. So we are confirming that the existence of students at the school. So the things that are so the components of this type of statement. So statement. So we're going to stick to statement. So statement is the place where it exists or position with the object that is in that place and the confirmation of the relation between the position and the object that is at that position with the particle ye.
I can ask by voice with
Yes.
voice.
Okay.
If it's better, if you can read.
Yes, because I cannot see the chat.
Yes. Look, how can we understand the difference between plural and single students?
Okay, so students and student, right?
Yeah, and here lob-truk.
So when we are not using things which are making it unitary, meaning making it one. For example, we have word like chic, right? If we are not using these, then in most cases it refers to being plural. But then, let me even clear this more. Sometimes we also use so this particular word, num, makes it a plural, isn't it? So lobtunam, which means the students as a plural. So this can also make it plural. So it's either usage of this word or it's just not using the word that makes it lobtushik. If we say shik or chick, then it becomes one. Otherwise, it's always plural. So place, object that is in that place, and you. And you see that this latte, what it does is it shows a relation between the position and the object which is at that position. So the existence of that object at that position with the confirmation by this particle. So it confirms the existence of this at this position, this object at this place or position. Whichever seems more preferable to you, you can use either position or place. So this is the usage case where we show that something exists at a certain place. And this is the things that this three, including the latte, is the component of this sentence. So why am I not specifying latte in this case is we are going to talk about this in the grammar class in detail. So I don't see any reason to further discuss this in this class, but to understand it to the extent that I have already said, it just shows a relation between the object and the position of the object. And this is the seventh grammatical case. So this statement shows a position of an object at a particular position. So, an object at a particular position. And then the confirmation of it, the existence. So now it doesn't confirms the possession, it confirms the existence, to exist. So the confirmation of the existence of that object at that position is done by ye. So this is the usage of yö as showing the confirmation as existence. So exist at, so to exist. Now the third one is used with present form verb and particle kin, 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 yin. Shows the continuation of action in present. So continuation in two things. Something that you were doing, you did, and you're still doing. Something you're continuously doing right now. Something that you might not be doing right now, but you did before, you were doing it before, and you will be doing it tomorrow. So in the perfect tense. So kin, 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 yin. Yes. Yes, please.
Genla, can I ask one question? Sorry to
Yes,
interrupt you.
yes.
So if we go into the previous, can you hear me?
Yes.
So in the previous slide, you said mention loptru ru sorry loptra ru loptru
Yes.
yo. So
Yes.
in this case, it apparently seems that it is like if I'm saying the statement, that means the first person is saying the statement, right?
Yes.
So if someone else has to say this statement, then like if I say that you know that there are students in the school, so it would be then dug, right?
Kerangi hakuki yepa. Or so yes, in that case.
No, meaning, but I didn't. Sorry, maybe I didn't. I said it wrongly. It means that, say, for example, if I say that Genla says that there are students in the school, so I'm saying it.
So in that case, you use a different you use a different particle, which says that like Genla said, there is student in the school.
Mm-hmm.
So you still use the same sentence, but now you're using an additional particle to connect this statement with another statement that says that like Genla said. Right? So this becomes just an addition on this.
Okay, so but this sentence is it assumes that there are students in the school. It assumes that the first person is talking about it, right?
So this is a first person. So this is a first person statement.
It's a first person statement.
Until and unless like the way you said it, if there is an addition of things like just like he said or just like Genla said is not stated, it's always a first person statement. Until and unless it's not stated that it's an indirect speech, it is a direct speech.
Okay. Thank you, Genla. Yeah.
That's okay. Now, okay. So this is the last usage of yö, which is with the subjective case particle kin, 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 yin. So I will be pronouncing it as the written language. So I won't be subjecting myself to pronounce it in the Eastern Tibetan dialect. So kin, 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 yin. And the distinction is that I will try to make the sound of kin a little more softer, more subtler than kayata kekyu kinna kin. Or I'll try to make it sound a little bit more bold, solid, so that you can hear the distinction. So when we use these, what happens is that the verb, the action that has been done, the yö, what it does is that it confirms that the action is being done in the present, or it's still in the present tense. continuation in the present tense. Continuation could be understood in two ways. One, that it's still going on right now, I'm doing it. Other, that the action has not stopped, meaning it repeats in an interval again and again. So it hasn't stopped still. So two cases of continuation. One in the continuous form, other in the perfect tense form. So one is present continuous, the other is the present perfect. Like we say, like for example, so first let me give an example in English. Like we say that every morning I go to the gym at 7 o'clock. Or I have been going to the gym. I have been going to the gym every morning at 7 o'clock. It means that I went yesterday 7. I went to the gym 7 o'clock this morning, 7 a.m. And then I will be going. So it shows the continuation, the action that I'm doing. So the continuation is the, it's not, in one sense, continuation means that the action is still going at the moment I'm speaking. Like when we say things like, I'm eating my lunch, I'm eating lunch. That means that while I'm narrating it, I'm eating, not at the very particular moment, otherwise I cannot state it. But in a way that to say that it is in continuous. Yes. If it's a question, please ask, because I cannot seem to open the chat.
No, Genla, what I meant to say is that just now you mentioned, so that means the time duration is not fixed. It is unlimited time duration you're talking about, like when you're talking with the continuation of an action.
In the perfect tense, yes.
Mm.
Indefinite time in the perfect tense.
Indefinite time. Yeah.
Yes, in the perfect tense, but in the continuous, it's just something that's still going right now. But in the perfect tense, it doesn't mean that currently I'm doing it. It means that I did it, I was doing it, and I will be doing it, for an indefinite time until I would say something like, I used to do this, when I start saying I used to do this, that means that I have already stopped doing it. Until I state it in that way, it is indefinitely going. And this is one sense of continuation. The other sense of continuation is I'm eating right now. If I say like this, if I state like I'm eating right now, that means that the moment I'm narrating, I'm still eating. The action is still going. So that is present continuous tense in this sense. So, for example, if I say, right now I'm going to home, which means that the moment I'm saying it, so for example, someone may call me and say that, what are you doing right now? And then I can say that right now I'm going to home. So to say, and definitely you can substitute this, particle. So let me take another of these. So you can substitute this and you can say that tata nangla dro shin yue. And this is also the same. It means that right now I'm going to home. Right? Right now I'm going to home. So this I'm going to home, and this is the statement which states that the action is being done in the continuously being done at the moment I'm narrating it. So to substitute this, we're using those other ones like in, yin. And the usage is same as subjective case usage, the subjective particle. It's according to the particle that possesses the first vowel ide. Since all of the particle, which is of the subjective case and of the relative case, possess the first vowel. So these are called ide. E, which is the first vowel. So like I said before, out of the 16 vowels in Sanskrit, Tibetan language has adopted only 4. E, U, E, O. These are the 4 vowels that was adopted in Tibetan language. And out of this, the first vowel is E. So those particles that has or possess E are known as ide. And these are of 2 usage case, relative case and subjective case. In other books, I have seen usage of things like mentioned of these particles as instrumental case and agent case. So in this particular case, I have translated as relative case and subjective case. So here we see nga thata nangla truin yu. So yin is showing that the action is happening in continuous form here, that I am going. The moment you're talking to me, I'm still going. Nga phu jamkin yu. I am learning Tibetan. The moment I'm talking, I'm learning Tibetan. If we add, so let me take this statement, and if we say like, if we just add something to here, I mean, it's the addition of these things which changes the meaning. So it's very interesting in Tibetan. The thing is that the meaning of the sentence changes the way you pause and the way you break down a sentence, the way you read. Sometimes the way you read will change the meaning entirely. So, let me take Tibetan. Which means these days I'm studying Tibetan. Now we see that this means that these days so we see the difference now. Now it means that I'm studying Tibetan these days, meaning that I was studying yesterday, I am studying right now, and then I did study today, or right now I study, and then next time also, whenever it's the Tibetan class, I will study Tibetan. So therefore, you see that just by the addition of this, the sentence, instead of Tengsang, if you say Tada, right now I'm studying Tibetan, this becomes continuous form, that I am studying the moment I'm stating it or narrating it. So usage of these things makes it continuous in present tense, and it's always used with the first person. So when it's the action, it's always with the first person. Okay, now the second particle, tuk. So these are also used to show possession or owning. These are also used to confirm things. These are particles that confirms things. These are also confirmational particle. So all of these, re, yin, tuk, ye, they confirm things. Right? So these are conformational particles. So in this case, tuk and ye are conformational particles. So first thing is in the case of showing possession or owning tangible things. So ngala tebni tuk, meaning confirming that I have 2 books. So for example, if we say like, oh, they have sent few books for us, and then you can say like, oh yes, I have 2 books, meaning there are 2 books for me. That I'm confirming that 2 of these books are for me. After observing, I could observe the I can observe by the looking at the parcel and to see who the recipient is. And looking at the recipient, if it's me, I could say, oh, I have 2 books in this. Meaning that out of the books, many books that they are here, I can confirm that 2 of these are mine. So confirmation of possession. Tashi has a new storybook. So I observe. So here, this is narration. I'm confirming by narration. Here, I'm confirming by observation. I'm looking at Tashi. And out of the books, I see that Tashi is saying that this is mine. And then I see that Tashi has a new storybook. So I say, Tashi la tef saba shiktu. Tashi has a new storybook because I saw Tashi bringing it. I saw Tashi reading it. I saw Tashi holding it. I can confirm it through my observation. I'm not guessing anything here. I have confirmed it with my own observation and saying that Tashi has the new storybook. So therefore, in this case, we are confirming our observation. In this case, we are confirming we are narrating by, we are confirming by narration. Definitely the confirmation comes from the observation, but still it's a narration here to confirm that, yes, these 2 are mine. Here we are observing someone else having something, and then we are stating the observation. Okay, so I think I should have this for this one. So in this case, it's quite simple. The first one is the subject. And then the action. And kin, particle. The particle kin, yin, and yu. So by this way, we understand that here we have these particles that this is the structure of the sentence that is of the continuation of action by the usage of yu. And this look, it's same as this. So it's same as this, but the only difference that we have is instead of yu, we're using tuk. So instead of yu, we have tuk. So we see that here we have these similar elements. The only difference is yu and duk. And understand that both yu and duk are the conformational particle, which confirms here confirmation of possession of tangible things. Right? And then we have the possession or owning of intangible things. Here we are observing how he's making food, and then we're confirming that he possessed the skills or he possessed a good experience in cooking. How do we know it? By the way the techniques he used to cook, the way it tastes. We confirm these things. So he has a good experience in cooking. Possession of something intangible, that is the experience. Similarly, the book has a good content or the content of this book is good. So confirmation that the book consists of good content, that after reading, I have confirmed that the content of this book is good. So confirmation of the after observation. And the structure is the same as the previous, just the difference is the object being intangible. That's it. With the latter. Now the third usage case is tuk, that confirms the existence of something at somewhere. So, for example, I don't know why I have written snow mountain. I think at this point I was only thinking of snow mountains. So, Potala means hasar tuk. Potala is in hasar. So, confirmation. So in this case, instead of using lathe, we are just stating it as an emphasizing statement, emphasizing of the existence. So we emphasize that the object, which is potala, is at the place that is hasa. So here we use emphasize. So sometimes, most of the times, sometimes if we want to make it a sentence of the seventh grammatical case, we use Latin, the position object relation case. Otherwise, sometimes we can also use the emphasis case, that is of the is nita. So potala is in Tibet. So we emphasize that the object potala is at the position Tibet. Sorry, Lhasa. At Lhasa is at Lhasa. So emphasize. But in this case, it is the seventh grammatical case sentence. And how you differentiate it? By the particle. If it's Latin, and if it's showing position and object, that's seventh grammatical case of position object relation. If it's the emphasize case, like ni, nida, then it's the emphasize case. So here it's the seventh grammatical case of position and object relation. There is a rabbit on that mountain. So we see that the position is top of that mountain, and the object is the rabbit. A rabbit. And confirmation of its existence on the top of that mountain is done by confirmation particle tuk. So the usage case so Gombala Trava Mamputu. Oh, Gombaru. That's used instead of la. It just makes the sentence more interesting. There are many. So you can also see this becomes plural by usage of things like mangpo, which makes it many. I have observed and I have confirmed that there are many monks at the monastery. All of the sentences that I have used till now, are all confirmation by observation, of course. So with this relation, instead of you, we use right? The place, the object that is in that place, and tuk. And you can either use ru, which makes it a the seventh grammatical case usage of object place relation. Or you can use nida, the emphasis particle, to make it an emphasis case. Particle of ni to make it an emphasis case. In one case, it's saying that the object, it's stating that the relation between the object, monk here, and the position where they are, Gompa, the monastery, and the confirmation of this relation that the monks are at the monastery is done by the particle that confirms the existence of the monks at the monastery. If we use ni, then it will be the emphasis of the existence by confirmation. Instead of the relation between the object and the position, it will be the emphasis of object being at that position. Okay, so the final usage, this one. Now the next usage of tuk is used similarly with kin, yin, but now for the second person and the third person, for the continuation of action in present tense. Right now you are talking. If someone asks you, what am I doing right now? And then you can say you're talking right now. I mean, you can have those kind of situations in life, where you have to confirm what someone else is doing when they're doing it. I mean, there could be cases of that. So right now you are talking. Then they are studying Tibetan. So currently they are studying Tibetan. So the usage case is quite similar. The only difference being let me put this sentence here. So, chanam namla purkintuk. Birds are flying in the sky. So the usage case is similar to this. The only difference is instead of yes, we use tuk. That's it. This is the usage. Instead of you, we are using tuk. Subject action. So subject action and kin yin for continuation, and then confirmation of the action in present tense by tuk. Okay, so today it seems that we will have to stop at tuk, but this is the last usage case of tuk to show that someone is used as to say to sit or to stay. For example, jirutuk, sit here, or togon jirutuk, stay here tonight. So in this case we see the usage. So it shows a position and it shows an action. So this is the usage case of second grammatical case. Object and action over object case. D being the object and book being the action. So yes, and similarly here, D being the object and book being the action. And Togong is just a word that shows the time. So this has the similar structure as the second grammatical case. Object, particle, and then action. Okay, so both are used in sentences that confirms things in a confirmed statement, as well as used in specified case and not for generalized statements. So it's things that are confirmed and not taken as a generalized statement. When I say generalized statement, it doesn't mean that talking about general things. It talks about a statement that is not confirmed personally. Something that is used as just a generalized statement, saying like, oh, the skies will be there, you know, things like this. So something that's more generalized rather than specified as confirmation. So these two particles are both confirmed statements or confirmational particles. Okay, so today we have time to cover this much. So we will continue with the Yore. So from this you will see certain things that I have said. So from Yore we will talk about this in the next class, and then with this we will also talk about Reyin, and we still have to cover the imperative case. We have done till the future tense. We have to cover the imperative case. That's it. Okay, so questions. First, I will take questions. Does anyone have questions? I'll take one question. If anyone has any question. So no question. Okay, in that case, please post a question in the group if you have any questions regarding today's lesson. And do we have someone who wants to read the text, the memorization portion? Does anyone wants to read the memorization portion?
I can read, but not by memory, just read.
Okay, so you want to read by memorize the text, right? Through memory, or
Not by memory.
or you want to recite it?
Okay, because no,
so
I still can't memorize it.
Please,
but I didn't.
it.
Which text at this class we're reading?
The Tibetan, starting from Tulangao.
Just one moment, I should find it.
That's so.
For colloquial, yeah.
Yes.
The three of excellent.
No. For the basic Tibetan class. So let me just resend it in the basic Tibetan class group. Yes.
So which one? Or Namo Guru Maju
No,
Goshaya? This one?
So I sent one. Did you receive it? It's in the class group.
No. Mm,
Class group
ah,
for WhatsApp. Yes.
okay. Thank you for sending.
Yes.
Dula Nawa Sangala Tukla Manwa Mamen
Ngawa. Tulang ngaw.
Ngawa Ma
Hmm?
Ngayin
Hmm.
Tungwe Ngani Ranala
Hmm.
Changki Nani Lanayin
Hmm.
Gonmei Menwa
Ngakpa.
Ma Nakpa. Oh, sorry.
Kongme ngakpa.
Gonmei Nakpa Pama Nakpadam Korzo Padan Nakpanam Sanak Yinpe Sheparche.
Okay.
Sheparcha.
Cha. Very wonderful. So please memorize this. So yes, please memorize this and listen to the recordings that I have sent so that you can use it as a reference. So use this recording that I have sent in the group for the reference so that you can learn the pronunciation. So very wonderful that you have read. So this is it for today. And if you have questions, send it in the group, in the WhatsApp or the Telegram. And then I will answer it there. So this is it for today, and I will see all of you tomorrow. So it's tomorrow, I guess. So I'll see you tomorrow. If there's change in the schedule, I'll just make sure to inform every one of you in the morning. So that's all. Thank you and Tashi Dele, and I will see you on either tomorrow, most probably.